The film begins in a hospital where a team of doctors is working hard to save the life of a premature newborn baby. The atmosphere is tense as the medical staff fights to keep the fragile baby alive. A few moments later, the baby's mother, Diane Sherman, is called in to see her child. The doctors inform her that the baby has made it through the critical phase. With worry in her voice, Diane asks if her baby will be okay. The scene then shifts forward in time, introducing a teenage girl named Chloe. She appears to be the same baby from the hospital scene. Chloe is not like most teenagers. She suffers from multiple medical conditions, including asthma, diabetes, and paralysis. Every day, she follows a strict routine of taking various medications and monitoring her blood sugar levels. Despite her health struggles, Chloe is intelligent, curious, and ambitious. She dreams of attending a prestigious university and has applied to several schools with high hopes of being accepted. Each time a letter arrives, she excitedly checks it, hoping to see an acceptance letter from a university. But strangely, she never receives any response from the colleges she applied to.
I told you, if there's even one college letter, I will close my eyes and deliver it straight to you.
In addition to her academic ambitions, Chloe has a passion for experimenting and building devices. She is highly skilled in assembling complex tools, teaching herself advanced techniques at home. One day, while she is studying, she hears the sound of a car approaching. Thinking it might be the mail delivery van, she quickly looks outside, eager to check if any university letter has arrived. But to her disappointment, it is only her mother, Diane, returning home after grocery shopping. As Diane steps inside the house, she is on a phone call. Chloe seizes the opportunity to sneak a look into the grocery bag. As she rummages through the items, she finds chocolates inside, but something else catches her attention. A green medicine bottle with the name Diane Sherman printed on it. This sparks her curiosity. Why is her mother taking medication? What is it for? That night, as usual, Diane gives Chloe her daily medications before bedtime. To Chloe's surprise, she notices the same green pill she had seen in the grocery bag. Suspicious, she asks her mother about it. Diane calmly explains that the pill is actually for Chloe and that the name on the package is simply the recipient's name.
Your name was on the prescription.
My name was on the receipt.
Though Chloe is still a bit doubtful, she does not argue further. She takes the pill and goes to sleep. The next morning, Chloe's curiosity gets the better of her. She decides to investigate further. She sneaks into the medicine cabinet and takes out the green pill package. Looking closely, she reads the name of the drug, digoxin. Something doesn't seem right. She notices that a sticker with her name is placed on top of another label. Peeling back the sticker, she is shocked to see her mother's name, Diane Sherman, written underneath. This deepens her suspicion. Why would her mother's name be on her medication? Later that night, when Diane hands her the same green pill again, Chloe secretly hides it instead of swallowing it. Once Diane falls asleep, Chloe sneaks downstairs to use the internet and search for information about trigoxin, the name Diane had given her. However, when she tries to access the internet, she realizes that the browser is blocked, preventing her from searching. She doesn't notice that her mother is secretly watching her from the shadows. The next day, Chloe comes up with another plan. She dials a random phone number and asks the person who answers if they can help her look up information about trigoxin online. The person agrees and tells her that trigoxin is a heart medication, but there's something strange. The real trigoxin is a red pill, not green. Chloe is now convinced that something is seriously wrong. Determined to get more answers, she tricks Diane into taking her to the movies.
When's the last time we saw a movie?
What do you want to see?
Once inside the theater, Chloe tells Diane that she needs to use the restroom. Instead of heading to the bathroom, she rushes out of the theater and goes to the nearest pharmacy. When she arrives, she sees a long line of customers. Desperate, she begs them to let her cut in line. Finally, she reaches the pharmacist and shows him the green pill, asking him what trigoxin is used for. The pharmacist looks at the pill with confusion. He tells her that the pill is not trigoxin. It is lidocaine, a drug that is used for dogs. Chloe is horrified. Her suspicions turn into sheer terror when she asks what happens if a human takes it.
What would happen? I suppose your legs could go numb?
Chloe is stunned. This means her mother has been intentionally drugging her, making her unable to walk. Before she can react, Diane suddenly appears behind her. Without hesitation, she pulls out a syringe and injects Chloe with a sedative. Chloe's vision blurs, and she loses consciousness. When she wakes up, she is back in her house, locked in her bedroom. Diane, now acting even more strangely, rushes out of the house, presumably to get more of the paralyzing drug. Chloe realizes she has to escape before it's too late. Using her intelligence, she comes up with a clever plan to break free. She tries unlocking the door, but Diane has blocked it from the outside with a broom handle. Thinking quickly, Chloe gathers a few tools, a soldering iron, a blanket, and a mouthful of water. She climbs out of her window and crawls across the rooftop. Carefully, she uses the soldering iron to heat up the glass of another window and spits water on it, causing it to shatter. She then places the blanket over the broken glass, so she doesn't get cut as she climbs back inside. However, the escape takes a toll on her body. Her asthma flares up, and she struggles to breathe. She had forgotten to bring her inhaler. Gasping for air, she crawls across the floor toward her room and manages to reach her inhaler just in time. With no time to waste, she gets into her wheelchair and attempts to leave the house. But Diane had already disabled the stairlift, blocking her only way downstairs. Desperate, Chloe pushes herself out of the wheelchair and throws herself down the stairs, rolling down violently. When she lands, something unexpected happens. She feels her toe move. Chloe realizes that because she has not been taking the green pills, she is starting to regain feeling in her legs. Determined to get help, she crawls toward the road. Suddenly, she hears a car approaching. Fearing it might be her mother, she hides. But when she looks, she realizes it's the mailman who regularly delivers letters to her house. Seeing her chance, she throws herself in front of his van, forcing him to stop. The mailman rushes out and asks what's wrong. Chloe can only utter two desperate words.
Chloe?
Help.
Before the mailman can take action, Diane arrives. She tries to convince him that Chloe is just confused and insists on taking her home. But the mailman is suspicious. He refuses to let Diane take Chloe and says he will drive Chloe to the police station instead. Diane panics. She tries to argue, even threatening to call the police herself. But the mailman stands his ground. He helps Chloe into his van while Diane watches. But just when it seems like Chloe is finally safe, Diane suddenly attacks the mailman from behind, stabbing him with a sedative. He collapses instantly. Before Chloe can react, Diane injects her too. The world fades to black as Chloe loses consciousness again. When Chloe regains consciousness, she finds herself in the basement of her house. The room is dimly lit, and her wheelchair is now chained to the floor. She tries to move, but quickly realizes that her mother has completely restricted her mobility. Diane had planned everything. Chloe is now completely trapped. As Chloe looks around the room, she notices a pile of papers stacked in the corner. With effort, she manages to reach them. When she looks at them closely, she freezes in shock. Among the papers are college acceptance letters. Letters she had been waiting for. Diane had been hiding them from her all along. Chloe feels a wave of frustration and heartbreak. All this time, Diane had been controlling her life, keeping her from pursuing her dreams. But the horrifying discoveries don't stop there. As she digs further, Chloe finds something even more shocking. Old photographs showing a healthy young girl. She sees herself, standing and walking, something she had no memory of ever doing. Her mind races. Was she really supposed to be paralyzed? Or had Diane been drugging her all along to keep her in a wheelchair? Then, she finds a death certificate. It reads, Chloe Sherman, deceased. Died hours after birth. Chloe's hands start shaking. How is this possible? She is alive. What does this mean? Next, she finds an old newspaper clipping. It reports on a missing newborn baby from the same hospital and the same night that Chloe was supposedly born. The realization hits her like a train. She is not Diane's real daughter. Diane's baby had actually died, and in her grief and madness, she kidnapped someone else's child from the hospital. At that moment, Chloe's whole world crumbles. The woman who raised her, the mother she had loved and trusted, was actually her kidnapper. Before Chloe can fully process the truth, Diane enters the basement. She sees Chloe holding the documents and realizes that her secret has been discovered. Diane's face darkens, and she quietly walks forward. Chloe stares at her in shock. I'm not your daughter, she whispers, her voice barely above a breath. Diane kneels down beside Chloe and with an eerily calm voice tells her,
Everything I did was for you, Chloe.
She then reaches for the syringe she had prepared, filled with a black liquid, a stronger paralyzing drug. Chloe's heart pounds in terror. No, please, she begs, inching away. Diane, now desperate, lunges toward her with the needle. But Chloe quickly pushes herself backward, locking herself behind a cabinet. Diane pounds on the door, trying to get to her. Chloe knows she has only one chance to escape. In her panic, she spots a bottle of poison sitting nearby. With no other choice, she grabs it and drinks it. Diane's eyes widen in horror as she watches Chloe collapse. Chloe's breathing slows, her body going limp. Seeing her like this breaks her. Unable to watch Chloe die, Diane picks her up and rushes her to the hospital. At the hospital, doctors manage to save Chloe's life. As Chloe lies in her hospital bed, she slowly opens her eyes. She feels her throat dry and sore, but she turns her head slightly to the side and sees Diane standing outside the glass window, watching her. Fear courses through Chloe's veins. Chloe, still unable to move properly, tries to call for help by pressing the emergency call button repeatedly. A nurse enters the room just as Diane hides behind the curtain. Chloe, unable to speak, uses her eyes to signal to the nurse that something is wrong. The nurse hands her a notepad and a crayon, telling her to write down what she wants to say. Chloe, trembling, slowly writes out a single word. But before the nurse can understand what's happening, a sudden alarm blares throughout the hospital. Diane had sabotaged the system, causing chaos. As the hospital staff rushes to handle the emergency, Diane uses the distraction to enter Chloe's room. She moves quickly, ripping out Chloe's 4 tubes and hospital machines. Chloe tries to resist, but she is too weak. After the nurse returns to Chloe's room, she is confused by Chloe's disappearance. The nurse sees the note written by Chloe that reads, "Mom." The nurse immediately reports this to security to find Chloe. Diane pushes Chloe out of the room, wheeling her through the hospital halls. When she is almost out of the hospital, on the escalator, Chloe's wheelchair stops. And it turns out that Chloe uses her legs to hold the wheelchair in place. Yes, here, Chloe's legs can be moved a little. A security guard spots them and demands Diane to stop. Diane, now completely unhinged, pulls out a gun. "I just want to take my daughter home," she yells, pointing the weapon at the guard. The moment of tension breaks when another security officer fires a shot, hitting Diane. She falls down the stairs, tumbling violently. Chloe watches as Diane lies motionless at the bottom of the steps. At last, Chloe is rescued. The story jumps forward 7 years into the future. Chloe is now an adult. She can move her legs, though she still struggles to walk. But most importantly, she is free. She has finally found her real family, the people she was stolen from as a baby. She has graduated from university, something Diane tried to keep her from achieving. But Chloe has one last thing to do. She visits a mental hospital, the place where Diane is now held. Diane, now frail and silent, sits in a chair, staring blankly. Chloe looks at her and speaks. "My life is great now. I have friends. I have a family. I have everything you tried to take from me." Then, she pulls something out of her mouth, a green pill. It's the same lidocaine that Diane used to give her for years. Chloe leans in close, staring into Diane's eyes. Then, with a chilling smile, she whispers, "I love you, Mom." Now open wide,